The next round of One to Watch is right around the corner, so in this video we're going to be looking at a Winter One to Watch prediction where we talk about some investments that you guys can make to make some coins, and then finally we'll take a look at some ways that you guys can prevent yourself from losing coins. All that and more coming right up. On this channel, we do a bunch of informational FIFA 19 videos that help you earn coins, be a little bit smarter about the way that you play FIFA, and get better at the game. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So jumping right into things, we know that the One to Watch promo is likely right around the corner for a couple of reasons. The first is that we can see the cover art there behind the Xbox home screen, behind Neymar, Dybala, and De Bruyne. It looks exactly like the graphics used on the Higuain card here that you can see. That is the One to Watch, so sort of the first speculation there. The second is obviously that the deadline day, the transfer day, deadline for most leagues is January 31st at midnight, which means based on the schedule last year, they dropped the One to Watch promo for the winter edition, which is obviously we're in the winter for most places, that is, was 2 days after the deadline day. They dropped it on February 2nd, as you can see above me, on that Friday, and I would expect we could see something similar. Obviously this time it's a little bit different because it would be February 1st dropping on that Friday, but I would expect a similar sort of pattern. So sort of the conclusion is likely to see a drop of One to Watch this coming Friday, February 1st. In terms of the predictions for the winter edition, it doesn't look that great if we're being honest with each other. Guys like Morata, Balotelli, and Muriel are the highlights, and when you have guys like that are highlights, you know it's not going to be that great. Obviously, Almiron, who just completed his transfer to Newcastle, by the way, that should be a Newcastle badge, not an Atlanta FC badge. I made a mistake there. Could be interesting. Maybe some people are going to get excited about Denis Suarez here, who I've been covering up by accident, he was now going from Barcelona to Arsenal. I think that was confirmed today via a leaked loan or something like that. But other than that, it's not really looking all that well or that strong. You guys might be asking, well, where is Higuain? Higuain is it's an interesting case because he already has a One to Watch card, obviously, but he completed a transfer to Chelsea. So the way that it's going to work is he's not going to get a new card. He's just going to be the same One to Watch card, in that if he gets another inform, then his badge will change over to Chelsea. So that was described by EA Zaro, one of the community managers on Twitter. He pointed that out just to clarify some confusion, and that's also been stated on the EA's website. Says if a One to Watch player transfer goes on loan during the season, the One to Watch item keeps the player's latest inform until the player receives an inform on their new club. At that point, the One to Watch item will be updated with the player's new club and latest inform item. So basically, as soon as One to Watch Higuain gets an inform at Chelsea, then his One to Watch badge would change from a AC Milan badge to a Chelsea badge, and then the chemistry accordingly. A couple other players to kind of keep in mind that could potentially go through as far as transfer goes. Heard a lot of rumors about this Perisic potentially moving from Inter to Arsenal, and then sort of on the back end of that as well, I've heard people talking about a swap deal between Ozil and Perisic potentially happening, so maybe Ozil could go from Arsenal to Inter. That would be interesting, maybe add a little bit more drive in terms of people opening up packs, which would be nice, but that obviously remains to be seen. So now that we've done our predictions, it's time to think about some ways that we can make coins or even prevent ourselves from losing coins, and in order to do that, we need to have some sort of basis, some sort of prediction for what EA is going to do in terms of promotions and SBCs this year round. A good place to start for that is EA tend to repeat themselves in terms of, you hear the saying, history tends to repeat itself. That is, EA and the promotions that they do is no exception. Taking a look at what they did last year, they dropped the Summer One to Watch, which was the edition that obviously dropped in the beginning of the game. For us, that's the team with like Ronaldo and Felipe Anderson and Cancelo. But obviously in FIFA 18, that was guys like Neymar, Mbappe, Salah. So it was a pretty stacked team. So what they did is they dropped those back into SBCs. So it didn't go into packs, they just dropped them back into SBCs. And the requirements for that, for an untradeable go, sort of like a Team Loot guaranteed pack, you had to have exactly One to Watch player, and then you had to have an 82 overall squad, as you can see up there in the top left. And then below that was a tradable squad, and the SBC requirements for that was once again a One to Watch player, a Team of the Week player, as well as an 84 overall squad. And then for both of them, the chemistry requirements was set pretty low at 30. Obviously, the highlights of that in terms of investments were the 82 to 84 overall squad, the One to Watch player, and then the Team of the Week player. As far as the Winter One to Watch edition was concerned, the one that they were just dropping during that promo in February, obviously these were dropped into packs. So you could pack a One to Watch Van Dijk, you could pack a One to Watch Diego Costa in your Weekend League rewards, you could have done it via opening up just a regular pack from a promo. but they also dropped them similarly to the Summer One to Watch into SBCs. So obviously the requirements for these teams were a little bit less expensive just because the team was less competitive. The last one had the likes of Neymar, Salah, and Mbappe. This one only really had highlights in the form of Sanchez, Aubameyang, and maybe Van Dijk, although people didn't know, and Van Dijk wasn't as good last year. And you can see, accordingly, the requirements have been adjusted to be a little bit cheaper. So you saw that for the winter. For the untradeable, it was only an overall 81 overall squad, and a tradable was only an 83 overall squad, once again with the one to watch and the team of the week requirements. So that's something that's going to be important to keep in mind. They seem to toggle the requirements up and down depending on the competitiveness of the squad, and that's going to affect the way that we go about making our investments. So don't forget that. Other things that they did during this promotion is they dropped a 82 plus guaranteed SBC. That's one that I know a lot of people really like recycling stuff in their clubs from, so look forward to that one. People are going to use that to do some crafting, a little craft macaroni and cheese action. They also dropped for some of the highlighted marquee transfers. They did SBCs for each of them. So like Alexis Sanchez got one, Van Dijk I got one, believe Aubameyang got one, and they were not super specific stuff you couldn't really invest in specifically, but it was basically like kind of like these daily flash SBCs that you could do that would get good packs and were sort of easy, sort of free coins if you're able to do them for cheap, which was nice. So now that we've taken a look at the requirements that they did last year, we can sort of compare them to this year, and we can come up with conclusions about our predictions for the requirements this year, and then obviously from there we can talk about some investments. So taking a look at the FIFA 19 Summer One to Watch, I think it can be sort of roughly made equivalent to, or said to be equivalent to, the FIFA 18 Summer One to Watch. You see the relative competitiveness of guys like Ronaldo and Socrates and Promes and Cancelo and Mahrez and Felipe Anderson with the upgrades that they've got compared to the likes of Mbappe, who at that point I think had one inform. Lacazette had no informs. Neymar had a couple informs. Walker was pretty good. Bonucci was pretty good as well. So I think in terms of relative competitiveness, in terms of relative price, I think we could probably say that these guys are roughly equivalent, maybe a little bit in favor of the Summer One to Watch, just because it does have Ronaldo, it does have Cancelo, it does have Mahrez and Felipe Anderson, who are a group of very, very meta players this year. So I think you can expect somewhere in the range of an 82 and 84 rated squads for the tradable and untradeable ones. You can expect at least one to watch card, maybe an inform as well, and then maybe if they didn't want to require an inform, they could do it like an 84, 85 rated squad. I think you could potentially see them do an 83 and an 84, or 83 and an 85 rated squad for the summer edition, just because it does have Ronaldo in it, obviously sort of the cover boy, or was the cover boy, and it would be very, very expensive. So take a look at sort of like 85s as well in terms of investments. We'll talk about some examples of some of that stuff in just a second. Now taking a look at the Winter One to Watch editions, it's very clear that the Winter edition from last year was much, much stronger. I think that's our best equivalent sort of thing to compare it to, but it was much, much stronger last year. So the fact that that had an 81 and an 83 overall rated squad, I think you could expect this, unless we get some crazy transfers towards the end here, maybe Perisic and Ozil coming in. I think you could see somewhere in the range of like a 78 to an 80 rated squad with one to watch card potentially required. I think this is going to be a very, very cheap SBC though, because people, I can't even convince myself to go out and do some of these cards, because even with the upgrades, I don't think some of these guys would be all that attractive. Even with Morata, got like 2 informs, but I'll tell you, like 2 informs, I just can't see myself getting excited about any of these. So I think this is going to be a very, very cheap SBC, one that's difficult to invest in for. It might not even require a one to watch card, as I'm sort of looking at it again, unless again they get some major transfers towards the end here. Maybe they just go ahead and just like put in some like random guys in here, sort of like what they did with the future stars. I mean, they have the sort of that permission to do that. I think they could potentially change it up, because it really is a very, very weak squad in terms of the SBC requirements. If they did just want to follow the same pattern as last year though, I think 78 and maybe an 80 rated squad, maybe you want to watch to toggle it up and down, would be sort of a fair assessment of the price. So now that we've talked about the potential requirements, it's time to talk about some investments. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the potentials for 83s to rise in price. Taking a look at their current prices up just above me, you'll see that they're down at like 1.4 to like 1.7, depending on their position, their league, their nation. And I think what you can see, if you take a look at the prices of Kagawa and Quaresma from FIFA 18, is that during this promotion, you'll see in the little yellow highlighted box, that is the time from February 2nd to February 9th, which is how long that promotion went. You'll see that their prices rose because of that. It was interesting last year, there was sort of a leak that they were going to get a one-to-watch guarantee because it was put into the pack database early, which is why you saw someone like Quaresma running up in price before the promotion actually happened. But for some reason, people don't aren't really thinking about investing in these 83s heading into this promotion. I don't know why, but they're actually getting very, very cheap relative to what they usually get during the year. When we have repeatable SBCs that require 83s this year, usually they get up to somewhere in the range of like 2.5 to 3.5 in terms of their price. So the fact that they're down all the way at 1.5, I think is a very, very promising sign. If they get even cheaper on Thursday because of weekend league rewards and just the pure volume of supply that comes onto the market from that, I think you guys could actually go like full into these guys using the unassigned glitch if you sort of want permission to do that. Obviously a very, very tedious way of trading, but something I think you guys could absolutely make a ton of coins on. And obviously when you're doing this kind of stuff, you want to think about sort of the positions and nations that are the best. The more important thing this time around is going to be the positions, because the nations isn't super important here because the chemistry requirement is really low. But if you want to pick up guys that are from the left mids, right backs, and left backs, we'll take a look at some examples in just a little bit of guys that you can go and pick up, but that would be something that you guys want to keep in mind. Another one too, especially if we have the Winter One to Watch drop back into packs, we're going to have some higher rated requirements as well. So 84s are likely to be pushed up as well. You'll see that the prices of the 84s got up to about 4 and 5k last year. Currently they're sitting at somewhere in the range of anywhere between 4 and 5k. If they get cheaper again when the Thursday rewards come out, I think that would be a decent time to go buy these. Maybe if they drop down to the low 4s, maybe the high 3s, I think that'd be decent. Obviously this one's going to be a little bit more tricky, this rating, because we have a ton of icon SBCs out right now that people are doing to get icon SBC fodder, because you can actually complete some of them. Baresi and I think it is Nesto, maybe. You can complete them and then turn them in, or Nakata is the other one. You can turn them into a higher level icon SBC, and they can be the cheapest sort of icon that you can get out of the market right now, just by doing all the SBCs and taking the pack rewards. So that's why these higher rated cards right now are kind of in inflated range just relative to what they usually are in the year. So these are going to be a little bit more tricky, but still a decent investment if they get a little bit cheaper than 4K. Another one to keep in mind, and this is one I think a lot of people are sleeping on, is if we have a lower rated team, especially if it's a 81 through 83 rated team, maybe they do that for the Winter One to Watch and they don't drop a One to Watch card requirement on that Winter One to Watch, but they do like a maybe 81 through 83 rated team, then these 82s could go up in a really good way. These are going to be important to take a look at good positions, so right backs and left backs could also cross invest in higher rated squads as well. If you can take up like an 82 rated left back like a Kolarov, or maybe an 82 rated right back or left mid or right mid, that could be a really good pickup as well. You saw that last year they flew, but last year the dynamics of that was just a little bit different. They were just a little bit more expensive on aggregate last year. This year there just seems to be more supply of them that hasn't been taken off the market. So 750, they're going for basically discard. This one's really safe obviously because they are going for discard, but just in general, again, you're looking for good positions, right mid, left back, and right back in terms of investing in these guys. Now, to give you guys some examples, you can pause this if you want to go through the full list of these, but the ones that are highlighted in dark green, I think, are the best ones to take a look at. As, assuming price, this is sort of price independent, but just generally based on their positions, their leagues, and their nations, these are usually pretty good ones to invest in. Again, you have to make sure that there are good prices, maybe come Thursday when they come out during weekend league rewards. So this is a total green light and a permission to go buy them. You sort of have to make that decision for yourself based on what the prices did last year, based on what they've done throughout the year this year. But anyway, some other special sort of mentions here are Balotelli, Morata, Cesc Fabregas, Pepe, Viviano, Jimenez, and Gomez. And the reason that I've highlighted these, I've written it next to their names here. Balotelli, Morata, Cesc Fabregas, Pepe, and Viviano both are very likely to be in the One to Watch team, which means their regular gold cards would be out of packs during this sort of promo where people are going to be opening up packs. So their supply gets frozen and they're potentially going to be required for the SBCs, which is like a really good combination in terms of pushing the prices up. Obviously, if demand gets frozen, but if their supply gets frozen, but their demand goes up, then obviously their equilibrium price goes way up, which means you guys make coins. And then obviously the same sort of thing for the likes of Jimenez and Gomez. They are in the team of the week this week, so their supply is going to be frozen in terms of their gold cards, so also cards that you guys can invest in. These are going to be popular pickups, so make sure you're not buying at inflated prices. And then one final thing about this, once again, remember, you want to pick up guys from linkable nations, linkable leagues, although that's not as important for this time around, but most importantly, you want to pick up good positions, so left mids, right backs, and left backs. And you want to avoid, for the most part, unless you're getting a really good deal, you want to avoid goalkeepers, because goalkeepers, high-rated goalkeepers are a dime a dozen, or high-rated cheap goalkeepers are a dime a dozen, so they have a little bit tougher time of rising in price. Other investments to think about are the One to Watch cards. So taking a look at an example from Traore and Hernandez. Traore, back when he was 82 rated, got all the way up to 48k, 45k roughly on PS4 during that period between the February 2nd and February 9th. You can see that price range, that price update there. You can also see the price for Hernandez. So Hernandez did well as well. Not quite as expensive as Traore, and that's mainly because the rating requirements for some of the higher rated squads, you obviously are going to be rewarded a little bit more for having a high rated team in terms of your overall creation. So someone would want to put in an 82 rated one to watch into an 83 overall squad rather than a 75 one to watch into their 83 overall squad, because they're going to have to maybe buy like another 84 or maybe an 80, even an 85 to sort of compensate for that. So if you, as you're thinking about some of these investments, you have to put them relative to their ratings. So someone like someone who's like at the lower rated, I think it's Ndombele, who's like a 75 rated this year. You want him to be, he's not going to be as valuable as someone like a Fred who is 82 rated. So as I said, I think I made a mistake. Yeah, it's Dembele, not Ndombele, but Dembele, who is 75 rated right now, who's going for 29K. Is there still room on something like that? I think it's getting a little bit tight. Just generally, I think these one-to-watches, a lot of people are thinking about investing in these, and just because the relative competitiveness of the winter one-to-watch is not going to be that great, although the summer one-to-watch is very strong, but the winter one-to-watch is not that great, so there's going to be a little bit of a lack of demand in terms of these one-to-watches if they have the same requirements as last year. So I'm getting the margins on these is just getting a little bit thin for my liking. I still think you could pick up like a Dembele and maybe see that get up to like 33, 34, 35K. You could still see a Fred get up to like 35, 36, 37, 38K. But again, the margins are getting just a little bit thin. Someone like Versalco, by the way, could be decent just because he's a right back, as well as Richarlison could be decent as well because he's a left mid and he has also some Premier League potential. But just be wary of the fact that the amount that these guys could fall, someone like Ndombele, or sorry, not Ndombele, but Dembele could fall a long way. I think he was going at somewhere in the range of like 18, 19K. So if he doesn't get required, if he doesn't get pinched and they change the requirements on you, he could fall a lot. Whereas the 83, 84, 85, and even the 82 investments are just going to be a little bit safer because they have requirements for icon SBCs, a future team of the week SBC. There's sort of a less of a, the water level for those is just a little bit higher than it is for these one to watches. So just be wary of the fact that this is a little bit higher of a risk investment. So now getting into ways that we can prevent ourselves from losing coins. It's nice to make coins, but obviously want to prevent ourselves from losing coins as well. If you guys are watching this video, the sooner you guys are watching it, the better. I think you guys want to go out and sell your winter one to watches, or your summer one to watches rather. As you saw what they did last year, you can see that the Bele card dropped about 150K when he was dropped back into packs, and this Lacazette dropped a significant number of coins as well when he was dropped back into packs. And by dropped back into packs, I obviously mean that they were dropped into the summer one to watch SBCs, and just the pure volume of them coming back onto the market, because these guys kind of got expensive just because their supply was really low, pushes their prices down quite a lot. I don't think we've seen too much panic selling of these one to watches quite yet, so I still think there's a window for you guys to go out and sell them, but I would do it sort of sooner rather than later, because you can actually see that getting close to the promotion as we get teased, especially as we get teased of this promotion, like if EA tweets it out or if it comes up onto the loading screen. I think you're going to see more of the casual players get alerted to this, and they're going to be reminded of the requirements for it, and then they're going to see that the prices potentially could come down. So the sooner you can go out and sell these one to watches cards, the better. Obviously, if you had done this a couple days ago, it would have been ideal, but there's still a window to do so. So make sure you guys go do that. But I think that's just about going to do it for this video. I would appreciate a like rating if you guys did enjoy the content. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content to help you guys earn coins, get better at the game, and play just a little bit smarter. If you guys didn't like the video, a dislike rating is absolutely fine, but I would appreciate a comment just telling me how I could improve. Other than that, it's been Jamie, aka the Fun Economist, and I'll see you guys in the next video.